Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This is from a young guy, he's 19, he's from over in England, and he wanted to know my opinion on the subject of guys testing gals to see what they're like and all that early on in relationships and during relationships, the same exact way that the gals test us. The way that they will deliberately say and do things to see how we react, how we respond. In essence, to test our strength. And this starts off in the first dates, the early dating process, to full on in relationships, to full on even if you're married, testing goes on. Make no mistake, guys, all women test. And if they say they don't, they're full of crap. And he wants to know, hey, should guys be able to do the same thing? And it seems a reasonable enough question here. And also he's asking about why it is, or for me to back up why it is that a relationship where nobody ever has there's no conflict or disagreements or anything like that is actually a red flag and a problem. So I'm going to go through his email here and respond to this question. That'll be a very good one to cover here for you guys to do relationships, so I can really explain a little bit more than I normally do in the stories that I go over here. So he says here, hi SSM. I'm a huge fan at 19 years old in England and believe that the service you're providing is absolutely necessary in the modern world, i.e. teaching men how to behave as a man in a society full of pussies. Well, we definitely are in a society full of that, and I'm trying to do what I can to help guys get away from that bad programming, which we all know what group, what movement really brought that on. He says, however, after watching a lot of your videos, I always see we had the perfect relationship scenario, or whatever simp nonsense they say. I'd like to ask you this question. Are these perfect relationships with no arguments detrimental to the relationship rather than it being productive, as you can't see how a woman would respond to adversity? It's not a good situation when there's never any kind of disagreements, and I'll come back to that. Nowadays, after a few tough days, they just want to bounce from sausage to sausage after a small petty argument. After watching your videos, something I started doing, especially in the early stages, I've created situations where an argument can arise just to see how the girl would respond. In other words, you're doing what the girls do, throwing tests their way to see how they would respond, see what they're like, all that. This caused me to drop my girlfriend of 1 year because I wasn't happy with her response. He said, no cheating, just a huge amount of bitchiness over something trivial, and I know I'm better for it. Anyway, that was something I've pondered over for a while. It helps me weed out the narcissist and the hoes from the rare breed of good women in today's world. And I'd like to ask you and your viewers, is that a good idea? So, first off, I'm going to address the whole thing about these so-called perfect relationships when there's never any kind of disagreements and everything's in perfect harmony. In my own personal experience, and experience of people I've known, and of course these countless stories I go over, the relationships where there's absolutely no disagreements whatsoever, everything's smooth and peaceful all the time, typically don't last. Or if they do, it's because both parties don't want to break up. Those types of relationships usually is where two people, they get along, but the relationship is not like a romantic relationship. It's like a friendship. They may get married and they stay in it for the kids and it's comfortable, but there's no actual real love there. They may love each other as friends, but they're behaving like friends, because you can't have two people together all the time without any kind of disagreements or conflict. It doesn't work that way. And women love, whether they want to admit it or not, all women like drama. Now there's degrees, there's little drama and there's a whole lot of drama. Little drama they can usually get their kicks from watching the reality shows, watching stuff like my stuff, hearing the gossip from their friends, and a little bit in the household. Well, not nothing major, drama with a little d. And on the other side, full on borderline abusive drama. And there are some that like that. You can't have two people in a relationship and there's not going to be a little bit of drama, a disagreement about this, disagreement about that. It's not going to work. And women do like a little bit, keeps things exciting, all that, because women get bored easily. Also, the testing thing. They get the drama, they like to do the drama, there's also testing. Women always test guys. They do it, honestly, to see if we have a pair. If they sense weakness in their guy, they're going to throw these little shit tests just to see if the guy will act like the man they hope he still is. In the beginning, there's little tests in the dating process where, like, they'll playfully tease a guy. If they like him, they'll playfully tease him about stupid shit like his sunglasses or his shirt or the way he talks or his hair. Something that she's smiling, kind of giggling. That's okay. That's just a playful test. I got no problem with that. Or it can be more like she tries to, you're planning to meet up on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock for a drink. She tries to change the time at the last minute. She tries to change the location. Those are shit tests to see if you're going to be a man. Say, no. She'll disagree with you on certain things to see if you will stick to your guns, like say, you like certain movies, and she says, I don't like those kind of movies. And then you then say, a nice guy would then agree with her because he wants to please her. Meanwhile, a guy that knows who he is, comfortable with who he is, he's still going to say, I like these types of movies. You get my point. Those are minor tests. In relationships, if he's starting to act weak, she might get bitchy with him, start fights and all that. If he checks her, if he calls her on it, okay, he's passed the test. So they do this stuff, again, to assess the man's strength and all that. But for a guy to do that, you're essentially acting like a woman, okay? If men deliberately do the same thing they do, they're acting like women, okay? And I get the logic, well, if they do it, we can do it. But we got to have a code. Because with this type of testing behavior, it's like a little kid. Little kids test all the time. You all know this. For you parents out there, we were all kids once. We all knew what parents we could get away with bullshit with and the ones we couldn't. I could test my mother. I could never test my dad. Ever. I couldn't test anybody else in my family. Only my mom. And I'd pull bullshit, and then eventually she'd yell at me. I'd stop. Or my dad would come after me with a freaking belt if I got too bad. No joke. We got to have a code. You can't act like the girls do. And my answer to is this, is if you want to assess who they are, all you have to do is just be yourself. Be the confident guy who knows who he is, knows his own truth, speaks his own truth, and the masculine guy I want you all to be. And I guarantee you, it won't take long for you to see who she is. So let's just say she's throwing a test at you. Let's just say a political discussion comes up, and you disagree on a political subject. Take your pick. And you stand by your opinion on a subject, and she doesn't like it, whether she doesn't like it or whether she disagrees with you or not, and she's putting up an act. If she reacts in a way where even though you disagree, she can respectfully, agree to disagree with you, okay. And then she's not acting like an a-hole. But if you are standing by your ground on a political opinion, or any opinion for that matter, and she flies off the handle and starts acting like an a-hole and immature, well, there you go. She did your work for you. By you just being who you are and standing your ground, right then and there, you saw who she is. And you can determine, well, I don't want to be in a relationship with a girl who behaves like this. Or let's just say you meet up, you're dating, and you're supposed to meet at P.F. Chang's at 6 p.m. on a Saturday for a beer and a couple appetizers. You're at that point that, okay, you'll buy her some food, or you'll together have food. You're past the one drink stage. And she shows up 20 minutes late. That's pretty rude. Well, you then check her on the 20 minutes. You're not screaming at her, you're checking on her. And if she blows up and yells at you about that, well, it tells you everything you need to know. Okay, so believe me, situations will arise very quick from like the first date. We'll be able to assess real quick what she's like. Okay, a little test, no big deal. She's playfully teasing about your shirt or how you eat or something stupid like that with a smile on her face. Or she's outright being bitchy about something, or you get the point. So I don't want you guys acting like they do, okay? We got to have a code and act like men and not behave like fucking women, okay? And real quick, like I said, they will show you who they are. You don't have to do anything else. And there was a time and place, guys, I'll admit, that I thought, hey, maybe because women like drama, and some will create it if they get bored, because let's be honest, women get bored easily. There was a time and place I would think that, if you had plans with her on a Saturday, you blow her off at the last minute to go hang out with your buddies. Or you don't call her for a day after she messaged you or something like that, just to get her worked up. And I just think that's just honestly childish. There was a time I thought that was not too bad of an idea, because that's kind of the shit that bad boys do. But why put yourself in that situation? So, bro, my response is this. What's done is done. And I get the reason why you did that and thinking that. But just keep being who you are. A guy that lives his truth, speaks his mind, has his code. It's a masculine guy. And real quick, their own actions will quickly show you who they are, and you can determine, is this a gal that I want to continue to see, or just move on. End of freaking story. But like I said in the beginning about the relationships where there's zero disagreements, zero conflict. And when I say conflict, I don't mean throwing chairs at each other and dishes and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about disagreements. Okay, everybody has a bad day, okay? And something else is below the surface that causes them to behave in a certain way. But if there's never anything, it's just too smooth, it doesn't work. You've heard all these stories. These guys think everything's perfect. We never fight. We never argue. I mean, while she's hooking up with the UPS driver because she's bored, because there's no love there. And in those situations, I'm sure you probably are aware, guys, if you've been in this, the situations where everybody gets along so perfect and there's no disagreements, the odds are they're hardly ever hooking up. Or if they are, it's the most boring sex known to man. Or another option is both of them are passive aggressive and everything's just bottling up until they just explode. So it's always best that in a relationship, guys, the two of you, the guy and the gal, from time to time, they can disagree on things and all that, but it's how they handle that. But if everything's so smooth and perfect, usually ain't so smooth and perfect. And I've had women admit that they like a fight on occasion. No joke. Not a nasty fight, not throwing shit, but fight is as in what they would say, debating, arguing, just to see, and it is what it is. So for you guys that don't do relationships, this backs up why you don't do them. For you guys who do relationships, be aware of these things. Again, there's playful teasing and testing, like I mentioned before. That's okay. Or you can debate things in a healthy manner. That's okay. Because women like to debate. They like a challenge. They like to challenge the guy as long as it's in a respectful, healthy way. But when it gets nasty, when she's mean about it, rude about it, even if it's a test and she, say it's a political discussion and she just blows up and is yelling at you for disagreeing with her, even if that's bullshit, she's just testing your strength, well, I tell you what you need to know. So right then and there. So you're going to have to use your own life experience to determine whether what she's doing, how she's behaving, is worth keeping around. And a freaking stress. So I hope I answered that question, okay? So yeah, the smooth and easy, never disagree about anything, that's not a good place to be. But you don't want to be throwing dishes at each other and getting and rolling around, wrestling on the floor, yelling at each other, and that's a bad place to be. And be who you are, and I guarantee you real quick, she will show you who she is, and you can then determine. You don't have to do things on purpose like them to assess who she is. Don't be like that. Don't be like a child. So I hope that helps. All right, guys, that was it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.